Alright. We're about to play a game that's very near and dear to my heart. And honestly, I wanted to avoid doing this game because I don't think I'm good enough to do anything involving this game yet. But I think I've played enough crappy robot games for a while, so I'm doing this to treat myself. So let's play a little Gotcha Force. Alright, so, if you can't tell, Gotcha Force is a 3D fighting game made by Capcom for the GameCube. It's jumped up in rarity since it first came out. It was that sort of game that no one really knew anything about. And in fact, I described this game to so many people that I knew when I went to school with them at the time that when I gave them the description of what it was, they'd laugh at me. But then I'd get them to play it and they'd admit that it was just like one of the best games they ever played. But yeah, it's a 3D fighting game. It's kind of similar in terms of gameplay to Virtual On, except I feel that the controls are more spot on and the camera's just a hell of a lot better. Like in Virtual On, from what little I played, there was no lock-on to the enemy characters, so like they get behind you, and if they did, you'd be kind of screwed. In this game, you're permanently locked onto an enemy, and while that has some problems, I think the benefits outweigh the problems caused. Now, probably the most notable thing about this, aside from how just solid the gameplay is whereas other fighting games would have, like, maybe a team of 2 or 3 different fighters going at it at any one time, like in tag team matches or whatever, this game, you get a team of up to 30 guys. And unlike another Capcom fighting game like Street Fighter, which would have like 5 different copies of Ryu of a roster of like 30 characters, this game has 206 completely different characters that all play somewhat differently. Now they're put into different tribes. I believe there's 30 or so different tribes, and the different tribes have similar basic ideas. Like if you play as a ninja, ninjas will be lighter melee units that focus on dodging, whereas knights would be heavier melee units focused on trying to take a punch better. But other than those basic kind of rules within the individual tribes, they play completely differently. And even then, those basic rules don't always apply. And you increase your roster by defeating them in combat, so it has an almost sort of Pokemon element to it, which was really, really cool. So regardless of how you fight, you'd always find one character that just sort of suited how you played. Oh, I really liked her. Okay. Oh crap. Okay, if you see this red guy that just died, he was basically the game's Ryu. And in fact, he was like a Ryu homage character. He had the spinning hurricane kick or whatever, he had the Hadoken, he had the Shoryuken. He's also one of the rarer guys you can get. Yeah, my guy's pretty cool because he just grows in size. And he's one of the other rare hero type Borgs, which were one of those... The heroes were one of those tribes that just had no continuity between their characters. It was really kind of neat like that. God, this game is so much fun. Super size! But yeah, there's tanks, there's gunmen, there's ninjas, there's bombs, there's roaches, there's dragons. This game is just insane amounts of fun. And if you want to get everything like I did, that takes a lot of time to collect, and is technically impossible, as there were actually 2 boards that you couldn't get outside of a contest in Japan. I honestly don't remember how I got them, but I got them myself. I knew someone who knew that I liked the game and had like a buddy who's out in Japan who went out and like got me those boards and then like sent the card overseas. And one of the boards is the final boss, who I think might actually be in this team, so if I suck super bad, you might see him. But, yeah, the other guy was a weird sort of modified variation of the hero's main character. And in fact, like the hero's main character, he was the only other guy that had a voice clips, which is kind of neat. Now we're fighting a giant dragon's head, and if the other CPU character had a specific metal dragon body character, they could actually fuse together to become one giant metal dragon. Oh, this guy. I love this guy. This is the Acceleration Ninja. And he's got a special ability that basically just lets him run forward indefinitely, and anything that gets in his way gets hurt. And this guy was actually the first guy that really captured my heart, so to this day he remains my favorite. And he's actually a special alternate colored guy, as he's got like the red bits. Normally he'd have white bits. And I remember because my buddy got me this guy. And now we're going to supercharge, and now I'm going to charge attack. That was another really cool thing about Gacha Force, is no one had abilities based on inputs like your typical Street Fighter rotations or your button combos from like Mortal Kombat or whatever. Everything was based on natural inputs, like B or X, and then some characters would have like a B charge and an X charge, and some would have like fusion abilities and stuff if you had the proper team set up. But nothing required those sort of weird inputs, and that was actually really good for me because I am the worst fighting game player ever. Like, I've been playing Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat since they were in the arcades back in the day. And I have never once pulled off a fireball or any sort of fatality. And it's not through not knowing how to do it. I know how to do them, I just can't get the inputs to work for me. So, the fact that Gacha Force has... every character has like these super special abilities, but you don't have to do these crazy inputs that for whatever reason I can't do. That just means this game's that much easier for me. Which also means it's really approachable by people who don't really get fighting games all that much. I mean, I like fighting games, but I'm not very good at them. I don't think I've won too many matches, like, ever, and if I do, it's with just punch and kick because I can't do any specials. In fact, in Street Fighter, I think I've won one match once, and because of that, Cammy is my favorite, because I actually want to fight with her once. But it has to be green Cammy, because I can't win using blue Cammy. But, yeah, fun backstory, I'm awful at fighting games. In fact, I tried to get one of my buddies to try and teach me, and I think we settled on trying to teach me Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I don't think we ever actually got anywhere with that. But I actually picked Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because I remember playing it with some friends of mine back in junior high at one point. I think it was like on the PS1 or something. And I remember they all laughed at me because I picked Mega Man, and he was the one guy on the roster I actually recognized. But, yeah, I'm no good at fighting games. Another Acceleration Ninja. I think I've got a bunch of these on my team. I don't think it's this guy, but there's a guy that looks very similar to this tank. I think this tank's like the prototype version of the guy. But, it can transform into a jet and then a mech. and just other crazy things. He costs a ton. Like, that was another really cool thing about Gacha Force, is you had to be really strategic with how you set up your team, because they all cost a certain amount of points. And while you could kind of modify this point value by winning more fights in single player, you only won like 10 points additional per victory, and while there were some fights you could like retake indefinitely, it was really not worth it. So you really had to be strategic about how you set it up. But in this like bonus versus mode, you can basically set it to whatever you want. So in story mode, you won't typically have a team of 30 guys unless they're a bunch of really low-cost guys. Oh man, this game is just crazy amounts of fun. I actually just recently looked this up on eBay, and I couldn't see a copy of the game selling for less than $100, which is kind of crazy. Because I remember 10 years ago when this game was first released, because yeah, we just passed the 10-year anniversary a few months ago. I bought this brand new, sealed, for $2. And this is still one of the best games on the GameCube. And I think next to like Animal Crossing, I'd say it's probably the best exclusive it's got. Oh, this character is interesting, Shadow Girl. She's one of the few characters that does not have a long range attack. Like, that's another thing, is every character, with the exception of like this one character, has a contextual close range and far range attack, but this character is pure melee. Which is interesting, because even a lot of pure melee characters like have beams they can shoot out of their swords, kind of like Link. But not the Shadow Girl. She's just straight up old school assassin. And here's one of these robots, which I think turns into a Jeep at one point. This guy was super strategic because, or the guy I'm playing as is, because he's a ninja, so he can't really take a punch too well. But his specialty, which is like this cone I'm shooting at right now, if your enemy gets caught in that, you will swap places with them. And you can do some really devastating stuff if you strategize that pretty well. I'll superpower this. All the models look really nice. Oh crap. Yeah, and this guy, like, he's a headless mech. That, if you see that spike ball, that's actually his face, which he'll just chuck at you. And then he has to go and pick it up again if he wants to be effective. And that purple guy over there is one of two magnet guys. This guy will, like, push you away because he's, like, the negative magnet guy, and the positive guy will suck you in. Oh, didn't swap. Why am I playing as this guy? I don't even like this guy. Man, this game is so much fun. Okay. This is one of the, partner ports from one of the boss characters. And it's a wing character, which means they fly about. They are super hard to get a handle on, but if you can figure it out, you can be super powerful with them. Like, I've seen some stuff with, like, the super nerfed wing guys that is just insane. And I have no idea how people do it. I'm no good with them. I just like this guy. What's neat is if you want even more replayability out of this game, every character has like a recolor. And I don't mean like they're classified as a different character. They're the same character, they just have a slightly different guy. Like my Acceleration Ninja had like that red plate, whereas this one has a white one. Every guy has that. And they're somewhat rarer to get, but what's really neat is after you beat the game the first time, you unlock a bunch of different recolored guys. Like, there's guys made of pure crystal, gold, silver, and shadow. And they're super rare, which means getting them, because you're not guaranteed to get them even if you kill them. Getting them means you got super lucky, and what's neat about those recolors is they actually have stat differences. So they were kind of like a super cool trophy, but they were also very functional. This is one of those stupid, crazy, powerful dragons. I don't think the enemy got any fortresses this playthrough, which is nice. So those guys are just a pain in the ass to deal with. They're not super hard. In fact, they're pretty much immobile, but they do a crap ton of damage. Man, this game is so much fun. Even 10 years later, I still love playing this. You know, I really wanted to hold off on doing this. This was one of those games that I love very dearly. It's very special to me. And I've been thinking about a lot of the games that were really special to me since I started, but I didn't want to do them. Because as much as I wanted to do them, I didn't think I was good enough, and I honestly didn't want to do a disservice to them. And I already did one of them. I did Steambot Chronicles, which is one of my favorite PS2 games. But I honestly don't want to do a really bad job. I want to do the best job possible for the games that are super special to me. But that said, I kind of think I want to do this now. I don't know if I'm good enough. What? Maybe I can do it. Oh crap, they've got a fortress. Okay, he's going down last. Okay, so fortresses, quick tutorial. They are huge and they will do a shit ton of damage. Especially this guy because he's got a charge attack. The only advantage is he can't really evade. I think there's a total of 2 fortresses that can actually move. And none of them are super common. Like, this is the thing, a lot of the rarer guys, even if you know, kill them and you get lucky enough to get them to drop, so to speak, some of the more powerful guys like fortresses won't drop. You'll get like crystals, and you need to get all the different alphabetical crystals in order to form them. And what's interesting is this also carries over to the special alternative colors. So if you run into a shadow guy that has a crystal, you need them all to be shadow guys. Huh, there we go. I think they reused this engine for a lot of new Gundam games. Like, I believe the Zeta versus regular Gundam took this. But that was Gotcha Force, the best robot game I have ever played. The one that I don't want to say redeems all those shitty robot games, because nothing redeems Heavy Nova, but this one at least makes me feel a little better about robot games. And this was a game that was just very special to me. I hope you enjoyed it, because I had a lot of fun playing this, and I actually have a few ideas for something I can do with this after playing it. But until then, I'll see you next time.